Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel Tarot for You 444. I'm so delighted that you could join me. This is going to be another video in the BDSM series, and today I want to connect BDSM with narcissism. Believe it or not. Believe it or not, I'm walking on air. I never thought I should feel so free. Flying away on a wing and a prayer. Who could it be? Believe it or not, it's just me. So anyway, I'll get serious soon. I can't help but sing. So I'm in a happy mood today. So we're going to connect BDSM to narcissism. Ooh, ouch. And of course, we're going to have some, happy BDSM topics as well. But this one is simply related to narcissism. And if you're a twin flame or a light worker, because I, of course, deal with spiritual people as well, we're going to connect that in and see how it correlates, okay? So this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking about BDSM, how it relates to narcissism, and of course the twin flame and the light worker dynamic. So we're going to kind of tie it all in together. So what I want to do is I want to say, I hope you're taking care of yourself today. That's the first thing I want to say. I want you to make sure that you're not overextending yourself to other people in your life, especially if you are in need of, self-love. Okay, so that's the first thing I want to say, because I can, obviously being a psychic medium, I can, tap into the energy of people listening. And I know that a lot of you are reaching out into different types of dynamics because you feel lonely, and perhaps because you, feel the need for connection. And as humans, of course, we all do. So BDSM is something that you can look up, you can Google that if you're not sure what BDSM is. It's a lifestyle dynamic, and as I go through the series, I'm going to be talking more and more about the lifestyle and, how it correlates into the spiritual community in good ways and in bad ways, okay? So let's talk about narcissism for a little moment. That's also another word you can Google. I will give you some of the terms today. So let's just go through what narcissism can look like in the dating kind of world. Okay, so a narcissist will usually do some form of love bombing, okay, followed by some form of devaluation, followed by some form of discard, and then that usually after a little while involves some kind of hoover, all right? So this is what we're going to talk about first and foremost, is so you have a little understanding of narcissism. So I'm just going to use a little scenario. Maybe I'll get Donkey. I'll get Donkey to help me, because I love using the toys, right? So let's do that. So here's Donkey. Now who's going to be the narcissist? Am I going to be the narcissist, or are you going to be the narcissist? I don't know. Hang on. Let him tell me. Let him tell me. You want to be the narcissist. Okay. He wants to be the narcissist. Okay, good. He's giggling. Can you see him giggling? Okay, so let's say we meet online, all right? Me and Donkey meet online, and I'm looking for love in all the wrong places. And Donkey says, "Hey, how you doing?" And I go, "Hey, I'm doing great." And he asks me about my culture, and he asks me, how I am and all of those things. And then within a few days, he's professing his undying love for me. Okay, so I love you so much that I think I could marry you. I think I could buy you a house and a car, and I don't know, we could just live in the jungle together somewhere. And I go, what? You've only just met me. That's a bit weird. Hashtag red flag, red flag. And so we spend some time apart for a little while, and then, I'm kind of going, oh, he sent me those love songs, and he sent me those, that, I don't know, what else did he send me? Those sexy memes with all the things he'd like to do to me. Yes, you did, didn't you? All right, so that's the love bombing phase, okay? We're talking about love bombing. So I start getting hooked. I start believing that, OMG, this guy, this donkey, really likes me. He's, professing his love to me. He wants to marry me. Woo, that's amazing, right? Now, so let's say we're texting for days and days and days and days and days, and then I am texting going, where are you? You're not coming back. And donkey doesn't reply for, I don't know, let's just say 9 days, all right? He doesn't reply. And I'm going, oh my God, the love of my life that profess their love to me, that wants me to marry them and, be, if you like it, then you better put a ring on it. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden he's gone missing, okay? So the going missing part is part of the devaluation, okay? So this is the part where the love bombing, in the love bombing phase, I feel really loved. And then in the devaluation phase, all right, I feel really loved during the love bombing when he tells me he wants to marry me, he wants to do all these things with me. And then in the devaluation stage, I'm like, oh, where is he? Oh my God, I can't live without Donkey. Where's Donkey? And he still doesn't come in. This is the point here where, in the case of, let's just say I'm a woman, because I am. Last time I checked, I'm a woman. That's funny. Take gender how it resonates for you is what I'm trying to say. But in the devaluation phase, I go, oh my God, where's Donkey? I need to call him or text him or ask him if he's okay. And Donkey's probably at home chuckling, going, ah ha 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 ha. I'm doing just fine. I'm working on myself. I'm working. I'm helping my mother. I'm helping my sister's brother's auntie's cousin, right? And I'm having the freak out because all of a sudden this love interest that I've really fallen for has devalued me. Okay. And this moves on in my own feelings. To, well, hang on a minute. I start connecting the love bombing and then go, how could someone who said they love me and want me just discard me like that? So I start connecting this in my mind. So I'm like, I must have, and then I start saying, I must have done something wrong. I must have said something wrong. Maybe, maybe he doesn't like the color of my hair. You better like the color of my hair. Or maybe he thinks my eyes are too far apart. Or maybe I've got cellulite in all the wrong places. Or maybe I spoke too long about space stations and butterflies and unicorns, right? So this is where the person who is being involved in the narcissism starts thinking, oh no, oh no, oh no, what have I done? And this is when I could be madly text messaging, let's say it's a long distance relationship, and still nothing from Donkey. Because Donkey, of course, is playing a game with me. Okay? So I spoke the other day in the introduction BDSM video about causing pain and causing pleasure. Causing pain and causing pleasure. Okay? So we have pain and pleasure, pain and pleasure, pain and pleasure, pain and pleasure. All right? Okay? Pain and pleasure, pain and pleasure, pain and pleasure, pain and pleasure, pain, right? So what happens is in the love bombing phase, I'm feeling the pleasure. I'm like, ooh, this donkey is so sexy. This donkey is so amazing. And then in the devaluation phase, when I'm not being texted or being ignored in some kind of way, I think, ooh, maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I blah, blah, blah. On we go. A million different reasons why. I'm too fat, I'm too thin, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm not the right culture, I'm not the right, whatever it is. So we start questioning whether or not we're going to be discarded. And then usually when we're in some kind of, emotional crisis is when the narcissist comes back and says, hey, I've been really busy at work for 9 whole days, and my auntie's cousin's brother's sister's child dropped Lego on the floor, and I accidentally stepped on it and I hurt my foot, right? I take that back 1,000 times. That would never happen. Okay, so then this is called hoovering. This is where the narcissist brings in perhaps the excuses and more of the love bombing. Okay. And then we get hooked in again. So we're like a fish, right? So during the love bombing phase, the narcissist catches the fish and I'm the fish. During the devaluation phase, I fall off of the line and I'm the fish still looking for the food going, where are they? Where are they? And I think maybe there's no more food coming, aka text messages, phone calls, compliments, poetry, love songs, whatever it might be. And then when I'm in distress about that, in a really deep pain, let's say this time the pain comes down to here, right? The narcissist will come back again and cause me pleasure. So it's like, ooh, ouch, uh-oh, right? So it's kind of, ooh, ouch, uh-oh, going on and on and on. Now, BDSM is very much the same. We have the pleasure of the sex, and we have the pain of the whip, right? Let's say, depending on, what's going on in the BDSM dynamic. But we have, let's talk about things that might cause pleasure in BDSM would be like an orgasm, right? But then we might get spanked, but in a hard way. Let's just say, like, as in, it's not just a slap, it's, with a flogger or something like that, right? Depending on what's been agreed upon in the dynamic. So the orgasm's great. Being spanked, maybe not so great, depending on the severity of it. Maybe we try something new in the BDSM dynamic and it causes a lot of pain. Let's just say it's like nipple clamps or something and you've got sensitive nipples, just for fun. Donkey's not even looking at me now. He's going, what? This isn't a BDSM series video, is it? Yes, it is. Right, so then we would have pleasure. Maybe there's kissing. And then we might have pain again, where it might not necessarily be physical pain. It might be some kind of emotional pain where, the dominant or the daddy or the master says, you can't contact me for 2 days. I'm going away on a work trip. You must give me complete silence, right, in the form of emotional pain. So hopefully you can read that with all the writing on the back. So some of the good things that would cause pleasure are up here, and some of the bad things that might cause pain are happening here. So this ties very well into narcissism. A lot of people in the BDSM lifestyle who are dominant are narcissists. They enjoy being in control. So narcissism is a form of control, okay? Narcissists like to control their environments. They like to control what's going on around them. They like to control how much attention they give to someone. They like to control how much attention they don't give to someone. So in the case of texting, where Donkey went away for 9 days, that's actually a form of control. It's not sexual control per se, but if we brought it into the BDSM dynamic and he said, you are not to have an orgasm for 9 days, that would be a form of control. And obviously a BDSM dynamic, a proper BDSM BDSM dynamic is all about, giving over your control to someone else with consent. Okay? So narcissism and the BDSM dynamic tie in really, really well. Not all people who do BDSM are narcissists, but there are narcissistic traits within BDSM, because there is a control person who is the daddy, the dom, or the master. And to assert control, you must have someone who is either willing, in the case of BDSM, or in the case of narcissism, most people aren't willing to lose their control or lose their autonomy. Okay? Right? So in the case of narcissism, we have someone who wants to be in control, and the person who is the victim of the narcissist loses control because they no longer are in charge of, or can, talk about whether or not they feel okay about something being done, because it might fall on deaf ears. I might say to Donkey, you didn't come back for 9 days, and he might gaslight me and say, well, you're overreacting a bit, don't you think? Okay, so this ties in really well with narcissism, but in the form of control. When we're talking about BDSM, the daddy, the dom, or the master might assert their control to tease or maintain a feeling of dominance within the BDSM relationship, which is welcomed by the submissive and is actually consensual. So this submissive down here is giving up their a loss of autonomy or a loss of control, and saying, yes, daddy, yes, dom, yes, master. If you say I can't have an orgasm for 9 days, I will do as you say. Okay. Donkey's rolling his eyes, going, "What? You just said what?" Okay, so for the spiritual people who are here on my channel going, "Oh my God, what is happening?" Hi, how are you, Twin Flames light workers? Welcome. I want you to see that the twin flame journey is much the same as this BDSM or narcissistic roller coaster, and it is not for the faint of heart. Let's be clear. All right? In all three scenarios, right, BDSM, narcissism, and the twin flame separation part of the journey, okay, we have this constant pleasure and pain going on. Okay, it's a theme here. Okay, we have the pleasure and the pain, the pleasure and the pain, pleasure and the pain. Now in BDSM, it is a consensual thing. There's a dominant who wants to inflict this pain and then bring pleasure, inflict pain and pleasure, and it might be emotional pain, it might be physical pain, but it's an agreed upon consensual thing. In the case of narcissism, it is not agreed upon. And in the case of the twin flame journey, or in the light worker community, it is something that occurs because of the need to be in separation so that you can work on yourself. So the twin flame journey is highly interesting because a lot of people go through many dark nights of the soul and they feel as though they're going to come undone. So what happens to the victim of BDSM is actually a consensual thing, so they're not really a victim, and hopefully their dominant would be giving some sort of aftercare. So maybe they do a scene and, it's been a bit harsh, maybe they got spanked quite harsh, or maybe they got slapped across the face, or whatever the dynamic is bringing. But later on, there might be some ice on the butt cheek or something like that, or some cuddles or some dinner prepared or something like that. So there's going to be some aftercare in a real BDSM relationship. So that's great. In the case of narcissism, where the narcissist victim isn't choosing this, we have no aftercare. No aftercare at all, except for the love bombing and the hoovering. I'm just looking for my other piece of paper. Remember, the love bombing starts, then the devaluation phase where they perhaps go away or they don't give any attention. They might even do some stonewalling and ignoring. Then we have a discard and then the hoover again. So in this case, there's no aftercare except for that narcissist coming back again. He made me feel bad. You know, he didn't talk to me for 9 whole days. And I really am lonely. I miss him. I was worrying about him. And then he comes in and says, I was just at work. No need to worry. Everything's fine. I just tripped on some Lego and had a sore foot. Okay. So at that point, the victim of the narcissist might get a little bit angry and say, well, you could have texted me. And then the narcissist might say, well, I had bad service. And, you know, I didn't really think, you know, that it was a big thing. You know, are you really that needy? So we have some gaslighting going on there. Really dangerous narcissism. In the case of the twin flame journey, where we're told to, you know, work on ourselves, go into separation so that you can love yourself, we continually are getting discarded, continually getting devalued. And then perhaps love bombed and hoovered again, and we're going, wow, this is driving me batshit crazy, because if someone really cared about me, they would stay. Okay? So we have confusion going on here in the twin flame dynamic, or in the light worker dynamic. So many of you will be able to correlate the BDSM dynamic with narcissism and with your own twin flame journey. And some of you can start to discern whether or not you are mentally strong enough to continue on. You know, the healthiest thing that I can see here is actually the BDSM dynamic, because we have consent. There is consent by both parties. The master and the slave, or the dom and the sub, or the daddy and the little, are all consensual about what's going on. In this scene, I'm going to spank you and also give you 5 orgasms, one after the other, while you scream and moan. He doesn't want to hear. Right? And it's consensual. Okay? And then afterwards, I'm going to bake you a warm apple pie, and we're going to sit and watch the sunset together, you know. So it's a consensual thing. So it's actually one of the healthiest things here. And if we look at narcissism, where there's no aftercare, and, you know, a lot of future faking, in the case of Donkey in the beginning, you know, I love you, I want to put a ring on it in the future. And this might go on for years and years and years, and nothing may ever happen. So with the twin flame dynamic, I want you to see that it is a consensual thing, whether you want to stay on it or not. Okay? You need to give consent to remaining on the journey. If you don't want to entertain the dynamic anymore because it's too painful, because we've got this pleasure and pain cycle continually going on, that's completely understandable. And in fact, I've got a course which is called The Game Changer. It's an amazing course which tells you how to get on with your life in separation whilst on the twin flame journey. So, you know, check out the description box below for that. What else do I want to say about this before I go? I want to say that in a healthy dynamic between two people that love one another, we're always looking for consent. We're always looking for trust. We're always trying to ascertain whether or not mentally this is good for our health. Okay? So the questions I would ask you now is your current relationship or situationship or dynamic toxic? Are you getting your needs met? And is the other person getting their needs met? And if not, could it be the fact that you're dealing with a narcissist? Or is it a twin flame journey where this narcissism becomes mirrored because of all the work that someone has to do in the separation phase? Obviously, not everyone watching today will be doing BDSM. So I want you to understand that if you have a dynamic where you are considering narcissism, as in not being a narcissist, but you are feeling this, and this dynamic can play out in family situations too. You might have a mother or a sister or an uncle that says, you're so amazing. Wow, let's meet up at the, the country club on Wednesday evening, and you rock up there and they don't show up, which is the devaluation and the discarding phase. And you kind of go, wow, Uncle Ronnie said to be here at 7 o'clock and I'm here. I got all dressed up and there's no one here. Right? So you can also be dealing with narcissism in your everyday life with family members or even friendships or people that you meet online. So be really careful with that. If you're feeling that you're in a relationship where there is pain and then pleasure and then pain and then pleasure, maybe that looks like an argument and I'm sorry, didn't really mean to do that, I was just having a bad day kind of scenario, then if you're not feeling right, if it's not sitting right with you in some kind of dynamic, that you could be experiencing narcissism. Okay? So BDSM, I want to remind you, is a consensual, adult, 18 plus thing to do with someone. And usually in a great dynamic, it involves consent and also aftercare. So, this one gets the tick of approval because people are being taken care of in that dynamic. In the case of narcissism, only the narcissist wins. Only the narcissist gets the tick here, right? There's 2 ticks for BDSM because both parties are getting what they need. In the case of narcissism, we have someone losing and someone winning. In the case of the twin flame and light worker separation, depending on what your perspective is, you could see it as winning or losing because, obviously it's a soul journey. Okay, but depends on your perspective. So we could have 2 ticks, we could have 2 crosses, or we could have a tick and a cross, and you've all, if you're a twin flame or a light worker, you've all been there. But whatever you do, you need to have consent around it. Whether that's BDSM, if you're in a relationship with a narcissist, I suggest that you go no contact. And if you are in a twin flame dynamic, I want you to understand or consider whether or not it's something that you should continue doing or not, because it can be quite dangerous for your mental health, especially if trauma bonding occurs. So if you haven't seen video 1, go and check it out. It's called BDSM Introduction, and it will be in my BDSM series playlist. I'm going to continually make this series so that people can understand, how these things tie into spirituality, and also how it ties into narcissistic behaviors that can occur, as well as BDSM. So let's say in the case of BDSM, just as a last note, that you have met a narcissist who is into BDSM because they like the control, there would probably be no aftercare, and there would also probably be a crossing over of the boundaries of consent. So you might say, well, yeah, I don't mind being spanked, but I only want it to be a medium hardness. And you might be tied up, let's just say for fun, right? That's part of the scene. And let's say you're tied up and they might bring out a flogger, and you're like, hang on a minute, I just said that I'd only like to be spanked. Then that's a red flag. okay? But, you know, in BDSM, obviously there's going to be safe words and trust, and you would never do something sexual with someone unless you knew them first. You know, you wouldn't just rock up at someone's house and go, hey, let's have a BDSM scene with a complete stranger, okay? So always be safe. Be safe online. Be safe in person with people, and always make sure that no matter what you're doing, you have consent. And if someone's not treating you right, you can tell them that they didn't message for 9 days and that you just can't accept that. That's a boundary that you don't want crossed, all right? You're allowed to talk about your boundaries and say yes or no. Even in the twin flame dynamic, you're allowed to go, you know what, buddy? Or you know what, sister? Whoever it is, take gender how it resonates. This is not okay. This is toxic. Okay? So any toxicity that you're noticing, whether that's in the twin flame dynamic or in a relationship with another person or in the BDSM lifestyle, you need to realize that and be strong enough mentally to say no. Okay? Okay, you're allowed to say no. You're allowed to say yes as well, of course. Now, if you're watching this for the BDSM thing and you're not spiritual at all, this is going to be weird, but I don't care. I always sing this song at the end of my videos because I want people to stay in their joy and to feel good. So, ready? We're going to sing Joyful, Joyful together. If you're a BDSM fan, you can click off now. But if you're into spirituality, then let's go. Ready? Joyful, joyful, Lord, we adore you. God of glory, God of light. Hearts unfold like flowers before you. By the way, what have you done for him lately? Ooh, yeah. What have you done for him lately? Ooh, yeah. Joyful, joyful, Lord, we adore you. God of glory, God of light. Hearts unfold like flowers before you. By the way, what have you done for him lately? I'm just thinking about God going, hang on a minute. I didn't tell anyone to do BDSM. Where did these humans get that from? You crazy people. Anyway, God could be a woman, just saying. I doubt it. Could be also a stuffy. I don't know. Do you think? Maybe donkey. Donkey could be God. The other day we had barnacles as God, but of course I am joking. Have a beautiful day, night, afternoon, evening or morning, wherever you are in the world. I hope you enjoyed this concept video today. And of course, if you need me, my information's down below in the description box. And I'll see you real soon. Bye, everyone. Bye.